Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brainbean. Before we get too far into the video, I just wanted to say thanks to Matt for inviting me to be a part of MS Tech. I certainly hope you guys enjoy the content that I'm going to be adding to the channel. Now with that, today we're going to be taking a look at the Alienware AW768 mechanical gaming keyboard, and I'm excited to take a look at this one, so let's go ahead and just take a look at this thing. Starting as always with construction and design, the Alienware AW768 is a 109 key mechanical keyboard. It's comprised of a metal backplate that the switches are mounted onto that's wrapped in a plastic casing. The plastic top cover was a bit of a bummer for me as it does look like it's made out of metal, but once you get your hands on it, it's obviously plastic. Still, despite the plastic construction, the keyboard is fairly weighty and solidly built. There's not much warping when cranking down on the keyboard and almost zero flex when mashing down on the keys. Aesthetically, the gunmetal plastic top cover looks pretty nice. It comes in a matte finish, which combined with the gunmetal color does a good job of not picking up fingerprints. There's also some Alienware branding under the number pad that isn't too intrusive, and I think by all accounts doesn't really hurt the look of the keyboard. The Alienware AW768 does come with 16.8 million color RGB backlighting, but it's important to mention that it does not have full per key RGB illumination. Instead, there are 13 different lighting zones that can be changed independently to create your own custom profile. The lights are powered by Dell's Alienware Control Center, which lets you create custom lighting profiles, bind and record macros, and edit settings like Windows lock and toggle the lighting. The software comes with 10 preset lighting effects. Some of these presets are your standard color wave and spectrum cycling. The rest, however, were a bit of a letdown for me, only offering 1 or 2 tone effects with very sluggish animations. I do like the X-ray preset though. It kind of reminds me of a thunderstorm, which I did think was kind of cool. The AW768 also comes with a light bar underneath the foot of the keyboard for some added ambient effects. The light bar, however, cannot be independently controlled with the rest of the keyboard and instead just mimics whatever effects are on the board at the time. You can set a static color to the light bar, but it will disappear if you choose an animated preset. The keycaps on the AW768 are made of ABS plastic and have a nice, clean, simple font. There's also full illumination of all the secondary characters on all of the keys, which I always appreciate. The AW768 uses Kale RGB switches and is only offered with brown switches. I've said many times that I do think that Kale RGB switches achieve brighter and more vibrant colors than cherries, but that's about where the positives end for Kale. On their own, Kale switches aren't terrible, but they just don't have the level of quality and peace of mind that cherry switches bring. The Kale brown switches, much like cherries, have a soft tactile bump so you can feel when you actuate the switch. They have a lifespan of 50 million keystrokes, have a 45 gram actuation force, and an actuation distance of 2 mm with a total travel distance of 4 mm. And just so you guys can hear how they sound, here is a quick sound test. In terms of extras, the AW768 comes with a set of 5 dedicated macro buttons with a 6th button that toggles between a set of 3 macro profiles for a set of 15 macros available. The backlighting for the macro keys changes respectively for each profile. The keyboard also comes with a dedicated mute button and volume scroll wheel, although I think it should be mentioned that the scroll wheel is also plastic and not metal. While the keyboard doesn't have full dedicated media buttons, you do get media control by way of the function key, and there's also an additional alien button that can be set to either toggle the lights or activate gaming mode, which turns on or off the Windows lock mode, among other settings which can all be changed in the software. The AW768 also uses a magnetic detachable wrist rest, however, it must be purchased separately for an additional $22, which to me is just crazy when most other manufacturers include them with their keyboards to begin with. Also, it's worth mentioning that if you do choose to use this wrist rest, you will undoubtedly cover up most of the underglow effects as well, and this keyboard does have full end key rollover. The underside of the keyboard has 5 rubberized pads to keep the keyboard from moving around your desk, and there's also 2 rubberized extendable legs that can be adjusted between 3 different settings for placing the keyboard at your desired angle of comfort. The LED indicators on this keyboard are also nice and clean, and I can appreciate that they didn't try to over-stylize them. Alright, so we've got the specs out of the way, but let's get into the nitty-gritty. The Alienware AW768 is a decent looking keyboard with a relatively aesthetically pleasing looking design, and it does have those nice underglow effects. But for me personally, I was really hoping for this keyboard to be so much more than it is. Keep in mind that this keyboard has an MSRP of $120. although you can find it on sale for sometimes around $100. With this in mind, the use of kill switches is tough to look past for that kind of money, as well as having to pay additional money for the wrist rest. The inability to configure per key lighting effects and profiles and instead be limited to the lighting zones is typically something that's only reserved for budget keyboards, which for me seems like they were just cutting corners in the software. Overall, the Alienware AW768 is by all means a passable gaming keyboard, but for its price and lack of what I would call standard features by today's standards, I find it very hard to recommend over many other gaming keyboards at this price point. The underglow is cool, but again, it isn't a feature that's limited to only this product. If you've watched any of my other reviews, you know that I typically like to let you guys form your own opinions and just present all of the information for you, but I've got to say guys that unless you can get this keyboard heavily discounted, I would pass on it for something else. Well, that's it for the video, guys. You know, I'm typically not this harsh on keyboards, but I really think for the price that they're asking for this keyboard, a lot of my criticisms are pretty justified, but I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in those comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more from MS Tech, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. I want to say one more thank you to Matt for inviting me to be a part of the MS Tech community. I'm really looking forward to interacting with you guys and bringing you more content. Well, with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.